Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Krista Hestorfer. I'm here from Hunger Solutions New York, and I'm very excited to be with you all today to talk about the launch of a brand new federal nutrition program that will make a significant difference for children and families in New York State, and that is, of course, Summer EBT. I'm joined today by my colleague, Cody Bloomfield at Hunger Solutions New York, as well as our partners at No Kid Hungry New York, including Liz Lucas, who you'll hear from in just a moment. And of course, we are delighted to be joined by some of the folks who are standing up this program in New York as we speak, including Sherry Tomasky, SNAP Bureau Chief at the New York State Office of Temporary and Disability Assistance, and Rose Leroy, Director of Educational Data and Reports at the New York State Education Department. I want to take a moment just to thank Sherry, Rose, and their teams for all of their work to make this program happen in New York in the very first year that it's available. It is no easy feat. We so appreciate all of the work that they're doing and that they've made time today to share some important information with all of us so that we can do our part to make sure that Summer EBT reaches as many eligible children in New York as possible. We will be recording today's presentation, and all registrants will receive the recording and the slide deck after the call, so you'll be able to access the resources that are linked on the slide and share this presentation with any colleagues who couldn't make it. We'll spend most of our time today hearing directly from Rose and Sherry about standing up Summer EBT in New York and what we should all expect. But we will start with just some quick background for folks who may not have been along for the whole journey that has led to Summer EBT. Then after Rose and Sherry wrap up, we'll spend just a couple of minutes underscoring some points that speak to the role of partners in this rollout this summer. And finally, we'll leave plenty of time for Q&A. Please do feel free to add any questions in the Q&A box throughout. And a huge thank you to everyone who sent questions in advance through the registration link. We did share those with folks at OTDA in advance, so you will likely see some of those answers popping up throughout the presentation today. Before I go further, I should quickly introduce Hunger Solutions New York for those of you who may not be familiar with us. We are a statewide nonprofit anti-hunger organization, and our work focuses on maximizing access to and participation in federal nutrition assistance programs. These include programs like SNAP and WIC, school meals, traditional summer meal sites, programs that provide meals for kids in childcare and after-school programs, and of course now Summer EBT. So I mentioned earlier, we're joined by our partners at No Kid Hungry New York. I'm going to turn it to Liz Lucas to talk a little bit more about their work.
Good morning, everyone. I'm so glad to be here with you. No Kid Hungry is a campaign of Share Our Strength, a national organization committed to ending childhood hunger and transforming systems so all children, families, and communities have what they need to thrive. Our No Kid Hungry team works with school districts, community organizations, government agencies, and elected officials across the state to ensure that every child has 3 healthy meals a day, 365 days a year. Next slide, please. Summer hunger remains a pervasive problem in New York. When the last bell rings at the end of the school year, millions of children are cut off from the healthy meals they get each day at school. Traditional summer meal sites are critical, but reach only 1 in 4 low-income children in New York. But there's a new federal program, Summer EBT, to help ensure children's access to healthy food while school is out. Summer EBT demonstration projects and P-EBT summer benefits showed the success of an EBT model as an additional support for families over the summer months. As a part of the Consolidated Appropriation Acts of 2023, Congress authorized Summer EBT as a new permanent nationwide program starting this summer. We're so grateful that New York is among the states implementing Summer EBT in its very first year. And now we'll hear more about Summer EBT from Sherry Tomasky from the New York State OTDA. Sherry, I'll hand it over to you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that, Liz. Thank you for that warm welcome and for the opportunity to be here today. We at OTDA, along with our colleagues at the New York State Education Department, are so pleased to be able to speak with you about our plans for implementing the Summer EBT program in New York in 2024. As Liz said, I'm Sherry Tomaski. I am one of the SNAP Bureau Chiefs at OTDA, and I've been working on the implementation for Summer EBT on behalf of our state agency. Hopefully my slides are coming up for everyone. If not, let me know. And I want to introduce for you our Summer EBT staff that is with us on today's call. I am joined by Paul Sandak, who is the project coordinator for Pandemic EBT, or P-EBT, which I'm sure most of you remember as sort of the predecessor to Summer EBT. And I'm also joined by Mia Morrow, who was a P-EBT project assistant. And both Paul and Mia are actively involved in leading the effort to implement Summer EBT in New York. And they'll be helping with answering questions in the chat as we go. And I hope you'll use the opportunity to ask questions that you may have. I'm also so pleased to be joined by my colleague, Rose Leroy from the New York State Education Department. Rose is the Director of Educational Data and Reports, and she'll have a few words to say a little bit about the data collection process that is involved in identifying eligible children for Summer EBT in New York State. So even though Liz gave us a nice high-level overview of Summer EBT, I will repeat here for you that Summer EBT is a new food benefit program for eligible children, and the purpose is to supplement the loss of the free school meals that they would have received during the academic year. But during those summer months, we know a lot of children do go without access to those healthy meals. And Summer EBT is designed to provide families with financial resources that they can use to purchase healthy food at grocery stores and farmers markets and other participating retailers throughout the state during the summer months. In New York State, Summer EBT will be a $120 benefit. That's actually the same as it is for all states. New York will pay this in a single issuance. They will pay it in a one-time benefit, and that will be available a little bit later this summer, and we'll talk about timing as we get closer. Just so you have some context for Summer EBT scope and scale in New York, more than 2 million children are expected to be eligible for this program this year alone. So we are going to be serving a tremendous number of families with this benefit, which will total more than $250 million in food benefits this summer. I'd like to give you just some context for the Summer EBT program so that you understand a little bit about the accomplishments that have been achieved until now, and a little bit about the work and planning that has gone into implementing this program in New York State. First, I'll describe to you some of the federal benchmarks that have been met that set us up for the opportunity to operate this program in New York. As Liz said, the Consolidated Appropriations Act in 2023 established Summer EBT. And since then, USDA has issued program guidance to states. They have published an interim final rule, and they have given states the opportunity to formally provide their notice of intent to participate in Summer EBT, which New York State did in December 2023 through a public announcement that our governor made at the very end of the month. So New York State made the deadline to opt into the program along with many others, and that set us on a path to many of the other operational implementation goals that we have, which I'll describe here. The first is the state's plan of operations and management. This is the guiding plan for all states, and New York State's plan was approved on May 10th of this year, and it lays out for us the blueprint and the framework for how Summer EBT will be implemented in our state. Another very important component of Summer EBT is that states must provide 50% of the funding for the administration of the program. And that was necessary to do through our state budget. And in April, the state budget that was signed included $13 million for administration of Summer EBT, which represents half of our entire state's admin budget. The other $13 million will be covered by the federal government, which provides us with the $26 million needed to administer the program. And I'll be clear here that the benefits themselves are 100% federally funded, but the cost to administer the program, which is to issue the benefits and to set up all the infrastructure that's necessary, is covered half by the state and half by the federal government. New York State has also executed a number of interagency agreements that are necessary to operate the program. We cannot do this on our own. We have many partners that are involved, including the New York State Education Department for the exchange of data that's necessary to identify eligible children. We also have a similar agreement in place with the State Health Department for the exchange of Medicaid data, which is also necessary to identify eligible children. We also have an agreement with the Office of Children and Family Services, which runs the Human Services Call Center and will be the Summer EBT call center for this year. Next, we've had to modify our state's EBT system in order to issue Summer EBT benefits following our state's conversion to a new vendor in May. So we will be executing amendments with those vendors in order to have the proper systems and rules in place to issue the benefits. And then finally, in April, our state published our Summer EBT website, which was the first public-facing content about the operation of this program. And that is a website I'll refer to frequently through this presentation. Here, I'd like to describe to you a little bit about, the eligibility for the program. There are two categories of eligible children for Summer EBT. The first is the streamlined certified cohort. Of course, this always happens when you're presenting, right? The streamlined certified cohort in New York State is the cohort of children who will be automatically eligible and automatically issued benefits. We expect that there will be about 1.8 million children who will be streamlined certified in New York State and automatically issued benefits. These include children who participate in SNAP, temporary assistance, or Medicaid, or are directly certified for free and reduced price meals by their school. We're going to talk more about this group in just a moment, but I want to counter that with, the group of children who are eligible only through an application. That group will number about, we estimate, 300,000 children in the state of New York. And these children have to meet two criteria in order to be eligible to receive Summer EBT benefits. The first is that they attend a school that participates in the National School Lunch Program, and their household income has to be at or below 185% of the federal poverty level. This is the same income limit that is used to determine eligibility for free and reduced price meals at schools. So if a child is not streamlined certified or automatically eligible for the benefit, they must apply in order to receive the benefit, and children will have to be determined eligible through the application in order to receive that benefit. I want to clarify here a very important point that differentiates Summer EBT from pandemic EBT. This is perhaps one of the most commonly misunderstood facts about Summer EBT eligibility. And that is that children who attend a school that provides free meals to all, which is called the community eligibility provision, that alone does not confer eligibility for Summer EBT. It did confer eligibility for P-EBT, but that is no longer the case with this new program. All children will need an individual eligibility determination in order to be eligible for Summer EBT benefits. And that means that they have to be streamlined certified by participating in one of the assistance programs, or be directly certified for free meals, or they can be determined eligible through an application. But if a child attends a school that receives free meals for all and is not eligible through either one of these categories, would not be eligible for summer EBT benefits. I'd like to describe eligibility for you in a little bit of a different way. I know that this is a busy slide with a lot of information, but I think if we can walk through this briefly, this will help give a little bit more context to how eligibility for summer EBT works. So we're going to start up here at the top with this first gray box. And this box indicates that if a child is between the ages of 6 and 16 at any time during the school year and participates in one of the assistance programs that we spoke about, that's SNAP, temporary assistance, or Medicaid, we also include FDPIR on here, which is the Food Distribution Program on Indian reservations. There are very few children in the state that participate in that program, but it's one of the programs that's federally required to be included in here. So we just mention it. So if a child is within these age guidelines and participates in an assistance program, they are automatically eligible for summer EBT. Here is an important consideration. These children do not need to be matched to a school. They do not need to attend a school that participates in the National School Lunch Program. These children could be homeschooled. They could attend a non-NSLP school, or they could have some other arrangement academically. But regardless of their school attendance, as long as their age is within these guidelines and they participate in an assistance program, they will receive the benefit. So this is how we pick up children who are homeschooled and children who attend non-NSLP schools. We expect that a majority of Streamline certified children will come from this category, perhaps as many as 1.1 million children in New York. If a child does not meet this criteria, then we go to the next level of questions. Then we ask the question if the child is enrolled in an NSLP participating school, because the National School Lunch Program is an important component of eligibility from this point forward. If the child is not categorized in these benefit programs and does not attend an NSLP school, they are not eligible for summer EBT. If that child does attend an NSLP school, then we must ask another question. And that question is, do they participate in SNAP, Medicaid, or cash assistance, TANF? Now, if you are following along, what you'll notice is that these children are likely outside of this age right here, age 6 to 16. So let's say it's a 5-year-old or a 17-year-old. That's where we pick up those kids here. And we also can include all other children that are eligible for free and reduced price meals at their school. This includes children who are homeless or migrant, runaway, or in a foster care program, enrolled in Head Start, children that have filled out a free and reduced price meal application, or have been determined eligible by income through an alternate or a family income form. All of those children are included in this category. And if the answer is yes to their eligibility for free and reduced price meals, then they will receive summer EBT automatically. However, if a child has not been determined eligible by any of these categories, that defines the population that will need to apply for summer EBT benefits in New York. Now, I know that's a lot of information. This slide will be coming to you after today's presentation, but we wanted to give you this really high-level overview to help understand who is automatically eligible, who needs to fill out an application, and who is not eligible for summer EBT. So let's go back to talking a little bit more about the Streamline certification and the automatically eligible population. And this is where my colleague Rose from the New York State Education Department will join me. We have a number of different data sources that will identify eligible children in New York State. And the first and most important data source is data from the New York State Education Department. And that includes student enrollment, demographic, and parent guardian data from a number of sources. And so Rose, if you're with us, maybe you can join us and give us a little bit more context about the data that schools have maintained that is being used for this purpose.
Good morning, Sherry, and everyone participating today. The important thing to know is how student data is getting from where your students are enrolled to OTDA for their APEX application. So I want to start first with if you're a public school district, a charter school, or a special act school, your student enrollment and demographic information is reported by your district data coordinator from your student management system to the department through the Student Information Reporting System. That's also known as SIRS. The things schools and districts can do directly to work with the department and OTDA to guarantee their students have access to summer benefits is to ensure that all student enrollment and demographic information is current and up to date at all times. That's done in your local student management system. That information should also be pushed regularly to the department. And as a public school, charter school, and special act school, you can check the information that you've reported to the department in your level 2 reporting environment reports. We have already delivered a preliminary file to OTDA of all data reported to the department as of April 8th, and we will send them a final file to them after the close of the reporting school year that all of you have reported to the department as of August 20th. That's for public schools, charter schools, and special act schools. Now, if you're an approved NSLP religious or independent school, you might be a school food authority, or you may be an RA that's partnering with an SFA. We this year have launched a new data collection system that will allow the SFA to submit student enrollment, demographic, and parent contact information through the IDEX application. IDEX is the Information Data Exchange application that exists on the New York State Business Application Portal. This replaces that Excel spreadsheet process that was provided to SFAs in the past. All we ask is for an FSA to submit one file that contains all religious and independent school RA location, student enrollment, and parent information on or before Friday, June 21st. This provides our office, the Office of Information and Reporting Services, to be able to vet the missing data from those SFAs who did not meet the June 21st timeline so that we can provide a full file and a final file to OTDA on July 2nd. Seeing that it's a new process, our office is providing a lot of support and guidance for everything you need to know about the program, who can submit the data, and step-by-step click-through guidance for how to submit data in IDEX. All of that information is available to you on datasupport.nyset.gov. Make sure you click on the public data and data request link because it will lead you to everything you need to know about how to do and what to do on the IDEX application for the New York State Business Portal. Thanks, Sherry. That's all I can provide on data.
Great, Rose, thank you so much. And what Rose described for contact information, for those of you on this webinar who are specifically affiliated with schools or located in school districts, we will have a link for that information at the end of the webinar on the slides. So let me continue on with the data that is used to identify automatically eligible children. I mentioned earlier about Medicaid and SNAP and as well as cash assistance determining eligibility for students automatically. So for that reason, we have data from the state Medicaid agency that provides information on every child who has participated in Medicaid during the past school year. And those that are between the ages of 6 and 16 at any time will receive the benefit automatically. Those that are outside of that age range during the school year, we still can match our files to those children to ensure that they receive the benefit automatically. It's really just an additional data match. For the families themselves, It really doesn't matter. It just matters to us in terms of the process that we need to use to match the necessary data and provide the benefit. For children who receive SNAP or temporary assistance, again, the exact same process is in place. We will automatically provide benefits to those who are within the eligible age range, and then we'll use the remaining rosters to verify that any other child is eligible through the state education rosters. So all children meeting the eligibility criteria, as I said, are going to be automatically enrolled. They will be automatically issued benefits, and there is no action that the household needs to take unless, of course, there's an outdated address on file, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But otherwise, there's nothing that a household needs to do to confer eligibility at this point. And then finally, every student in these categories that we've described are going to receive an eligibility letter sometime this summer. The timing of the letters is really going to span across the entire summer. It's going to take about that long to issue this many letters, but beginning in late June, OTDA will begin to mail letters to these populations to let the household know that they are automatically eligible for the benefit and that they don't need to apply for the benefit. We'll talk just a little bit more about those letters in a moment. But first, I'd like to spend just a few minutes on the other way that children can become eligible for Summer EBT and receive the benefit this year, and that's through the Summer EBT application. So remember, this is for children who attend a school that participates in the National School Lunch Program and their household income meets the income guidelines for free or reduced price meals, but the child does not have an individual determination on file with the school, nor do they participate in any of the assistance programs that we've spoken about. So for a household that meets these circumstances, they can apply for Summer EBT using the New York State Summer EBT application that New York State will launch. This application is modeled on the free and reduced price meal application, and we use the USDA prototype to develop this application. It is going to be an online and mobile-friendly portal that families will have access to beginning in early July. We'll probably announce the exact date as we get closer, but we fully expect this to be available at the beginning of July. The online application will be available in English and in Spanish. And it's important to know that the application will require a New York.gov ID in order to log in. This is a common set of credentials that people have if they've done online business with many state agencies, including Department of Labor, DMV, many OTDA programs, as well as other programs. So this is something that families may already have, and if not, we include simple instructions on how to create a New York.gov ID in order to verify identity and access the application portal. It's important to know that there is a deadline in order to apply for benefits for the 2024 summer period. That deadline is September 3rd. So families will have about 2 months with the online application to apply for benefits for the summer 2024 period. I'll also add in here that there will be a paper application available for anyone who is unable to access the online portal for any reason. The paper application will be available on the OTDA website, and it can be downloaded and printed. A household would have to fill it out manually and mail it into OTDA. They'll also be able to call our customer service center and have a paper application mailed to them if necessary. That paper application will be available in 12 languages. So if that is necessary for a household in order to complete it, it will be available. But again, those households would have to return that application postmarked by September 3rd at the latest in order to be considered for 2024 benefits. I'll talk a little bit more about what the application requires. So first of all, to make this simple, it is one application per household. So for all of the children in the household who they are applying for Summer EBT benefits, they can be included on one application. Here are the components of what the application requires. For each child for whom the parent guardian is applying for benefits, we will need the child's name, date of birth, and the name of the school that they attend. To make this easier, school names will be available in a drop-down menu, and it will be limited just to those schools that participate in the National School Lunch Program. Because remember, children cannot be eligible through an application unless they attend an NSLP school. The application will also ask for what's called a New York State Student Identification System ID number, or a NYSIS ID number. This is a unique 10-digit number that is issued by the New York State Education Agency to every student in the public school system and many private schools in the state of New York. Now, not a lot of families know their NYSIS ID number, but they can easily call their school and they can ask for it. And if they're able to get it and include it in the application, it will significantly aid in the data matching process. If they don't have this number, they can use their local student ID number that is assigned by the school. But again, both of these numbers are optional. They will help facilitate the efficient processing of an application, but they are not required if a family does not have them. The application, though, does require the names of everyone else living in the household so that household composition can be determined, and then the amount and frequency of all of the income sources for anyone in the household who earns or receives any type of income. That way, the household income or household financial income can be determined to see if the household meets the income test for Summer EBT. Finally, the application will collect current address, phone number, and email address, and the parent guardian will have to sign an attestation and then submit the application online. It's important to know that there is no documentation required at the point of submission. Families will attest to this information, and they will attest that it is true and accurate. However, the USDA regulations require states to verify any application that is unclear or needs further information in 2024. So, for example, if a household submits multiple applications with conflicting information, or if multiple people apply for the same child to receive a benefit, those are circumstances that could warrant verification. And in those situations, OTDA may require documentation to substantiate an application. So in those cases, households would need to comply with a documentation requirement. But for most households, that will not be necessary, and that documentation would only follow the application and not be included with it. So that would make this convenient for households to be able to fill out on a mobile device, or when they're on the go, or when they have time to do it on their computer, or with the assistance of maybe a community organization who's helping households fill out applications. Now I will describe a little bit more to you about the communication that households can expect around Summer EBT in New York State. I mentioned earlier that there will be eligibility letters sent out to all of the households who are Streamline certified in New York. These eligibility letters contain information about the program. It also reminds those automatically eligible households that they do not need to apply, and that the only thing that they will need to do is update a mailing address with us. If their address that the letter was sent to, perhaps it was forwarded by the post office, if that information is out of date, they do need to update an address. The letter will give specific payment information for the child. It will let the child know if they are receiving their benefit on a pre-existing P-EBT card, or if they're getting a new Summer EBT card mailed to them after they receive this letter. And we're going to talk about that more in a moment. So in the order of letters being issued across the state will generally follow this list right here. Public school students who are automatically eligible is the first group to get their eligibility letters. Those are the letters that will begin to go out at the end of June. It will take approximately 4 to 5 weeks for the 1.5 million automatically eligible students to receive that first round of letters. So if a household doesn't receive it by the beginning of July, or even the second or third week of July, those letters still might be in the mail. So we do have to urge patience when it comes for the mailings to make their way to all eligible households. Later in August, once OTDA receives the data for non-public students, as Rose described, those students will then begin to receive their eligibility letters about their benefit being automatically issued. So I'll just repeat here that public school students and non-public students are on slightly different timelines in terms of when they will receive their eligibility letter. And then finally, households who apply through the portal and are determined eligible will also receive an eligibility determination letter. Households who are denied through the application process will receive a denial letter. So anyone who completes an application will receive a communication letting them know if their application was approved or denied. Those are probably not going to go out until after the end of the summer based on the timing of when all the applications will be processed. So we will have to be more specific on the timing for that on our website as we get closer to those dates. OTDA does plan on some additional communication to reinforce both the eligibility notice and when benefits will be issued. OTDA will do this primarily through text messages, but in the cases where there are email addresses on file, we will send emails as well, letting households know that their eligibility notice was sent and also to let them know when their benefits have been issued. When these messages go out, we will make this information also available on our website so that households know that the messages that they're receiving, especially text messages, are legitimate and they are from OTDA and they are about their child's benefit. So let's talk a little bit more about these benefits and payment methods. I mentioned just a moment ago that the eligibility letters will let a household know how they are receiving their benefit on what benefit card. This is a very important component of Summer EBT that we want to make sure folks understand. So first, every child in New York State will have their own Summer EBT food benefit card in their name. Every child. This is not siblings combined on a card. It's not one card per household. Every child will have their own Summer EBT food benefit card. This card could be their pre-existing P-EBT card that they were issued during the last round or two of P-EBT. Most children who received pandemic EBT benefits received an EBT card in their name. And if New York State can demonstrate through our systems that that card was activated and those benefits were utilized in the past year, benefits will be reloaded onto that existing card so that we don't have to mail a new card and the family can just use the cards that they have. However, many children either never received a P-EBT card or because maybe they were on SNAP or maybe they are new to the program this year, and others received P-EBT cards but never used them, never activated them. So in all of those cases, households will be mailed a new Summer EBT card in the mail. So let me be clear here that these are the same thing. We're just evolving the name and what we refer to these cards as, so that P-EBT cards with this new benefit will become the permanent Summer EBT card, as well as those that are being mailed out to these households as well. So just to state the obvious then, benefits will no longer be issued to SNAP EBT cards or accounts. So in the past, some children who received SNAP and were part of a SNAP household got their P-EBT benefits on those particular accounts and utilized those benefits through their SNAP EBT card. That will no longer be the case in New York State. Every child will have a dedicated benefit card that is exclusive to Summer EBT, and that will be the process for these benefit cards going forward. So again, the eligibility letter will let the household know if their benefits are going on a pre-existing card or if they should expect a benefit card in the mail. These are the benefit cards that will become the child's permanent card They should keep these cards to have benefits reloaded on them every year. That will dramatically simplify the process, and it will expedite access to the benefits as soon as they are issued. Now, summer EBT benefits can be used just like SNAP benefits at participating SNAP retailers, such as grocery stores and farmers markets and other types of approved retailers. This is identical to how P-EBT worked, and these benefits will work the exact same. And unfortunately, summer EBT benefits cannot be replaced if they are stolen. So it's important that households understand how to protect their benefits. And there's going to be a lot of information on our website to learn how to do that. I just want to back up because there's one point that I neglected to make about those who are receiving benefits on a pre-existing P-EBT card. I'm sure you're wondering what to do if the household didn't keep their card and they may have thrown it away once they exhausted their P-EBT benefits. There is a pretty straightforward process by which a household can request a replacement card to be mailed to them. And those instructions are included in the letter, and they're going to be explicitly described on our website. If the household has not moved in the last year, they can just have a replacement card sent right to their current address. If they have moved, we will have a special address change form available on the website where households can provide their updated address, and that will automatically activate a replacement card mailing for them. So we hope that families will take a few minutes to read through that information if they need a replacement card, but those instructions will be available to households. I'd like to describe one more very important element of summer EBT, and this is a little different from how it worked in P-EBT, so I just want to emphasize this, and that has to do with the expiration of benefits over the course of the benefit period. So summer EBT regulations require that benefits are good for 122 days from the date that they are issued to the child. Now, the date of issuance is going to be different for different children. They're not all issued on the same day. They'll be issued over the course of the summer. So from whatever date a child's benefit is issued and that card is mailed or they're loaded onto their pre-existing card, households have approximately 4 months to use the benefits. Any benefit that's remaining in that account at the end of 4 months will be removed from the card. That's called expungement. So OTDA is unable to replace those benefits if the household failed to use them. So it is very important that we work together to address things like address changes and issuance of replacement cards early in the process so that households have enough time to use their benefits before they expire. And just to be clear, all benefits will expire at 122 days, regardless of whether or not they were all used. So this is a new aspect and different from P-EBT, so we wanted to emphasize that point here. So I'd like to just summarize for you. Many of you, I'm sure, were familiar with P-EBT, and I'd really like to summarize the key differences between P-EBT and summer EBT. I think this will help folks understand how the new program is required to work and where the messaging really should be emphasized in terms of differences between the two programs. Many families got used to P-EBT and understood how that program worked, but summer EBT will have some important deviations. The first has to do with children who are eligible and how that intersects with schools that operate universal meal programs. For P-EBT, all children in a universal meal school or a CEP school were eligible. That is no longer the case in summer EBT. Each child needs their own individual eligibility determination, either through streamlined certification or through an application. The second difference has to do with expungement or benefit expiration. For P-EBT, households had about 9 months to use benefits, and that clock reset every time they used their card. But summer EBT timeline is much more restrictive, and households have 4 months from the date of benefit issuance to use all of the $120 benefit per child before those benefits are removed from the card. The next difference has to do with the application component. For P-EBT, there really was not an application component. Children were either automatically eligible or not. There was one school year where families could apply for additional benefits if their children had excessive absences, but for the most part, there was no application component for P-EBT. And in Summer EBT, now there is an application component that is required for certain students in order to receive Summer EBT. The payment methods for each of these two programs are also slightly different. During P-EBT, OTDA issued benefits on both SNAP EBT cards, or for children who did not participate in SNAP, they received their own P-EBT card in the mail. For Summer EBT, there will no longer be benefits issued to a SNAP case. They will exclusively be issued to either a pre-existing P-EBT card or a new Summer EBT card in the mail. And then finally, we didn't discuss this today, but just so you're aware, there is a fair hearing or an appeal component to Summer EBT. P-EBT did not have any appeals provisions whatsoever. These cases were not able to, any determination was not able to be appealed. But for Summer EBT, there will be an appeal procedure in place. It is meant to follow the appeal procedures that are in place for the National School Lunch Program. And these appeals for Summer EBT will be administered by OTDA. These are predominantly going to be focused on households whose applications were denied and they would like to appeal those decisions. Most of these will be able to be resolved before a formal appeal, but there will be a formal appeal process for those households who require it. Now I'd like to describe to you a little bit about the outreach materials and the information that will be available to all of you, since I'm certain that this is an important aspect of your work and something that you've been waiting eagerly for. The New York State Summer EBT website, whose link is there on your screen, will be where all outreach and information for providers and schools will be housed. This includes a general outreach flyer that you can see on your screen, as well as sample newsletter content that can be used for emails or website content or other types of communication with families. There will be social media resources, as well as instructions and a video for the application process. Now, I should caution that these materials are not yet loaded on the website, but they should be loaded within a week or so. And then those are available to all of you to download and use as you see fit, so that you can help educate families about Summer EBT in the course of your work. I'd like to close this presentation by just summarizing for you the customer service infrastructure for Summer EBT. As I'm sure you can imagine, many families will have questions, and our hope is that the Summer EBT website will provide answers to the most commonly asked questions that households will have. The website will be regularly updated with information on the timing for when benefits will be issued. It will contain specific information about eligibility for the program, as well as guidance for how EBT cards that are receiving the benefit can be replaced and how new cards will be activated. There will be a link to an address change form. So if a household needs a replacement card and their address has changed, they can update that address with us online without having to call the call center, and they can receive a replacement card that way. The website will include a very detailed FAQ to address some of the more nuanced questions that families may have. There will be a link to the online application along with instructions for completing it and the outreach materials that I just mentioned to you as well. Now, I'd like to explain to you a little bit about the customer call center that the Summer EBT unit is operating. This is the Summer EBT helpline. This phone number is the same phone number that was used for P-EBT, and it's the same call center managing the operations. This helpline is available to households to answer general questions about the program and to answer child-specific eligibility questions or to troubleshoot benefit issuance. I'll just clarify here that It won't be until July 1st that the call center will have access to the case files to look up individual children and answer questions about their case. But until then, there will be general information available both through the automated IVR at the front end and through the call center agents once someone is connected through. This Summer EBT helpline can also process an address change, although we strongly recommend that households use the online address change form once it's launched in order to request a replacement card, if that is how their benefit is being issued. It will be much quicker than waiting in order to get through on the helpline to change an address. The next helpline that I'd like to describe is the EBT customer service helpline. This is different than the Summer EBT helpline, and this is a customer service helpline that is exclusive to EBT cards in New York State. This is the phone number that is printed on the back of the EBT card, and it is where households will call to activate an EBT card and set a PIN in order to be able to use the card. This is also where households will be able to order a replacement card as long as their address has not changed. If their address has changed from what is on file, then they can use the address change form to update that information. We will have all of this information on our website, by the way, to explain to families which path they should take. And then finally, for school data support and any questions about the data that public and non-public schools should be aware of for the purpose of Summer EBT, this link will take you to contacts for the data center at New York State Education Department. And this is what Rose Leroy mentioned earlier. So that just gives you a sense of how the Summer EBT customer service infrastructure is designed to work. Most of this will be up and running before the end of June to coincide with when eligibility letters will start to be mailed to households. And we hope that it will answer most of the questions that households will have in a quick and easy fashion. And if households have to call the Summer EBT helpline, they are certainly welcome to do so. We do expect that there will be long wait times because there is a finite number of agents available at that call center, which is why this year we're expanding what households can do online to reduce the dependence on the call center for this year. So with that concludes my presentation. I would like to send this back to Krista for closing comments, and then we'll go through questions.
Great. Thank you so much, Sherry. That was incredibly helpful information. And I see that lots of questions have been coming in. Please keep them coming. And thank you to Mia, to Paul, to Rose, who've been fielding those questions and making sure that folks have the information that they need. So before we turn to Q&A, whatever is remaining, I just wanted to take a moment, since there is so much new information coming to you all, to just distill and underscore a few key points from Sherry's remarks. And I think these are pieces that really speak to the role of partners, schools, CBOs who are helping with outreach for the program. There are some key messages that I think we can all do our part to amplify. First, that most families don't actually need to apply for this program. It's important for families to understand if they are already Streamline certified, as Sherry walked us through, so that there's not an undue administrative burden on a family who doesn't actually need to complete an application, and so that we can keep the state's resources freed up so that people who do need to submit an application can have that application processed quickly and efficiently. For folks who do need to apply, we want to make sure they have the key dates that they'll need, that the application will be available starting in July, and that they'll need to apply by September 3rd for 2024 benefits. We want to encourage folks to use their benefits quickly. As Sherry mentioned, there's only a 122-day expungement timeline, which is not very much. So we want to get the word out to please go ahead and use those benefits as soon as you receive them, and keep your card so that things go smoothly next summer and they'll already have the card that they'll receive benefits on if they're eligible again. As advocates, I'm sure you're all working on summer meal promotion as well. So we want to make sure that families know they can use summer EBT benefits and access their traditional summer meal sites that are operating in their communities. And they can also tap into programs like SNAP and WIC too. Summer EBT is not replacing any of those other important resources. It's an additional supplement. And lastly, wanted to underscore that immigration status is not a factor in summer EBT eligibility, nor does using summer EBT benefits affect one's immigration status. So for those of you who are familiar with the public charge rule, it's very important to note that summer EBT does not apply for the public charge rule. As Sherry mentioned, the OTDA customer service resources are going to be really important here, and we can all continue to refer families there for the most timely benefit updates, for instructions on things like how to replace a card or change their address, and for more information about the program. So I hope that everybody will refer back to these resources, both the website, the outreach toolkit, and the Summer EBT helpline. And lastly, wanted to encourage everybody to please continue your work to connect families with programs like SNAP and school meals. As you've heard today, participating in SNAP or being certified for free school meals streamlines a family's access to summer EBT, in addition to all of the other great benefits that those programs provide. We have SNAP outreach resources and school meal outreach resources on our website. I have some linked in this slide deck. And please also promote your local summer meal sites. I mentioned just a minute ago that families can participate in both. If you visit summermeals.ny.gov, you can see where those summer meal sites are operating in your community and help families connect with them. And lastly, even though in the Q&A, we know that WIC does not automatically qualify a family for summer EBT benefits, it's still a really important program to make sure that families with children are aware of. WIC provides benefits to pregnant and postpartum people and children up to age 5. So as you're doing your work with families with children, please be sure to share WIC information with them as well. And with that, I think we will take a look at the Q&A and see if there's anything left for Sherry to field, or Sherry, as you've been looking through the questions that were answered during your remarks, if there's anything that you wanted to amplify or highlight, please feel free to do that.
Great, thank you. So there's a couple of like super basic concepts that I must have not said outwardly, and I just want to be clear. It's a $120 benefit per eligible child. I'm very sorry I didn't make that clear at the beginning. And the way that that was calculated is Congress set forth a $40 per month benefit for an average summer of 3 months. So 40 times 3 is 120. States can issue this benefit in whatever, issuance determination they want. And New York State has decided to issue it all at one time. So each eligible child would receive a one-time $120 benefit. I want to also be clear that there are summer EBT benefits do not have an immigration requirement attached to them. They also do not affect a household or a family's immigration status in any way. There are no Social Security numbers requested or required at any point in the process for summer EBT. There have also been a lot of questions in the chat around some of the school data and clarifying what the data points are that determine eligibility, and again, what the process is for both public and private schools. And the information that schools can use to ask those specific questions of state ed, that is included in the link that is at the end of the PowerPoint and that you will receive after today's webinar. So it's also been asked, and we did want to just clarify one more time, that for families that no longer have the existing card that benefits are being issued to because they may have thrown it away, keep in mind that that's not something that we would know from the data. We would just know that a benefit card was exhausted. And we had advised families in the past to please keep the benefit cards in case there were any future benefit programs. And so those are the cards that we will reload benefits to, but there will be very specific instructions for how to request a replacement card if the family threw the card out. I do want to clarify that the benefits work exactly like SNAP benefits in terms of purchasing rules. Households can purchase anything that they purchase with SNAP benefits, so they can use these at participating farmers markets. They can also participate in the produce incentive programs, so Double Up or Health Bucks. Households can amplify or double their money on produce purchases through some of those incentive programs as well. I also want to verify one other piece about timing. Eligibility for Summer EBT 2024 is based on the prior school year, the 23-24 school year, for which summer comes at the end of. And it will also be the case each year that Summer EBT eligibility is based on the year leading up to the summer, not the year after the summer. So it does cross over academic years a little bit, but I can understand that that might be confusing, but we just want to make sure that eligibility is based on the year prior to the summer that benefits are being issued for. And then the last clarification I would just like to get is that Congress has set this program to be a permanent program. States do need to opt in each year, but we don't have any doubt that New York State would choose to opt into this program every year. So for that reason, we are excited to be able to set in motion the beginning of what will be a permanent program in New York. And we hope that the information today has been helpful to you to understand the framework. A lot more information will be posted on our website. And I do want to thank my colleagues, Krista and Jessica and Liz and Rachel, for helping to coordinate today's program. And I hope that they will be able to help us facilitate questions back and forth as we go forward so that you have the information you need to help families with this program. So with that, I will turn it back over to you, Krista.
Thank you so much, Sherry. I think those clarifications were really helpful. And indeed, we would love to help coordinate any remaining questions that folks have. Please feel free to send those our way. I'm going to add my email address in the chat as we speak, and we'll make sure that those get where they need to be. Thank you again to Sherry, to Rose, Mia, Paul, for fielding all of those questions, 50-something questions, and for taking the time to join us all today. And thank you to all the attendees for being here, and thank you in advance for all the work that you're going to do to make sure that this program reaches as many kids as possible. All right, with that, we will wrap up today's call. We'll follow up with the recording and the slide deck. And thank you again, everybody.